What's going on, YouTube? Today we're in the garage gym and we are going to cover the new Rep Fitness trap bar. I've had this now for 3 or 4 weeks and have been using it at least twice a week. So I've got some feedback for you on this bar and some comparisons. So stay tuned, we'll get into it. We'll start off with a unboxing. All right, stay tuned. All right, so we just finished the unboxing of this bar and we're back over at the rack, and I've got it in the rack here. And now I'm going to go over a few of the specs. Just cover some of the basic specs. You'll find when you're shopping for these trap bars, the specs get really crazy because you start talking about distance off the floor to the handles, handle diameters, handle spacing. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when I compare it to some of the other bars that I might consider buying over this bar, or maybe buy this bar instead of those. So let's see what it looks like when we compare those specs. But first we'll talk about just the Rep bar so we don't get super confused. And the Rep bar retails at $399, including shipping. For the price, and what I've been shopping and looking around what's out there, this is very hard to beat. And I've got a couple other options that we'll talk about, but they're going to be more expensive. So Rep did a great job with price point. Again, all their new gear has been priced really, really well for the amount of features that they're giving you. I know it's becoming really easy to review Rep equipment, especially their new stuff, because they've done a ton of research on getting the prices right and also incorporating the right features that everybody wants. There's a big advantage to Rep here because they have the ability to see what's on the market, see what works, listen to their customers, listen to the reviewers, and build a bar based on all that feedback. Where if you look at some of the original trap bar designs, Eleiko, and then further after that, Kabuki came out with theirs, they were the pioneers of this. So again, Rep's got a big advantage. They're able to look at what's out on the market, take a little bit from all the different designs that are really good, create their own design. So that's why I really like the Rep engineering that goes into their new equipment. I have to say they've done a really good job with all the new stuff. So that being said, let's talk about the specs. This bar comes in at 60 pounds, which is a little lighter than the competition, but still can be heavier than your standard 45-pound bar. It has a 5-year warranty and is rated for 1,350 pounds. Static load, I'm kind of not sure what that means by static load. So if you can load 1,350 pounds on it, but does that mean you can lift it? Or does that mean that they don't want you to use basically the deadlift jack feature at 1,350 pounds? And that's what I believe they're talking about when they say static load. And we'll talk about that more with the competition. hard chrome sleeves like all their new equipment, and they're really nice sleeves. They are rackable sleeves. As you can see, I've got it on a Rep PR 5000 rack right behind me here, and it's sitting on some Ghost roller J-cups. Fits really well. Spacing wise, for fit on a tighter Rep rack, it fits quite well. There's enough clearance, it would work no problem, and I'll show you pictures of that as we're talking about it. The handles, so handle distance from the floor, your lower handles are going to be 8.5 inches or so, and then the higher handles are going to be around 11.5 inches, 11.3 to be exact. And the one feature about this bar that's really interesting is it uses a round tube design instead of a square tube, and it has knurling right in the center. There's a 6-inch patch of knurling right here, and that's if you were to use it for squats. So nice little option, really nice little feature. Some of you might ask me, how good is that knurling? Well, it is your typical stamped type factory knurling. So this is not going to be anything you're going to be really impressed with. It works, but it's very, very faint, and you'll see in the pictures that it's not going to be a very aggressive knurl. But and again, for back squats, that's probably just fine. And I don't think very many people will be using this for squats all the time. It's just going to be a nice feature to have when you're using it. We'll talk about my feedback on using it in a little bit. So handle diameter, 28 millimeter on both. And the knurling on the handles is quite good. I would put that knurling somewhere in around an Ohio bar standard knurl, but it's a lot better than that generic stamped knurling that you see painted over on a lot of other bars or stuff. Then the handles are really, really nice handles. They're really nicely machined, and they have a great feel in hand when you're using them. They also machined in a center mark on both sets of the handles. I really like that. And the handles are also removable. So if you're using this again for squats or overhead press or bench or whatever you're doing, you can remove these very quickly with an Allen wrench. And just like we saw in the assembly, you just undo the bolt, slide the handles off, and you're good to go. It's really, really easy to do. Okay, so now that we've talked about the features on the Rep bar, we'll just cover a few other options that you might be shopping for. The first one up and the closest in price, coming in at $549, is the Vulcan bar. So the Vulcan bar weighs 68 pounds. It is similar in design in a way. It has two different sized diameter handles, which is really nice. It has a 50 millimeter wider handle and a 28 millimeter handle option. It is rated for 600 pounds, where you can deadlift jack 600 pounds off the floor with it. Its total static rating is 1,500 pounds, and the handle spacing from the floor is 6.5 and 9.5. So it's got a lower handle spacing to the floor. Now that's going to make that bar a little bit harder in a way to pull, because you're going to be pulling from a lower pull point, and we know anybody that's deadlifted, the higher the bar, the easier it is to pull off the floor. So the Vulcan's going to be a little slightly harder to get off the ground, but a great bar, and again, very, very similar in terms of some of the specs. Now, overall length on Rep bars and the Vulcan bars, 84 inches or close to it, and the spacing between the handles is 27 inches on the Rep bar, 25 inches on the Vulcan bar. So a little bit narrower. I prefer the narrower handle option. I think it's nice. It just keeps your arms more in line than bringing them out wider. 27 works just fine from what I've been using, but narrower would probably make it a little bit easier. So the next bar up, and this one's a fan favorite. Of course, everything Kabuki makes, everybody loves Kabuki, and they have a very awesome trap bar. Now it's going to cost a lot more money. Comes in at $749 plus taxes, shipping, all that, and is hard to get. I think it has like a 9-week lead time, but that Kabuki trap bar has a lot of awesome features. Cover some of the specs real quick. The weight on the Kabuki bar is 66 pounds. It has basically comes stock with 29 millimeter handles. However, Kabuki offers a lot of different handle options. You can change your spacing this way, and you can also change your diameter on the Kabuki bar, making it very versatile. Now, to adjust the handle spacing, it's going to cost you about $65 per set. So again, a little bit additional charge there, but a really nice option. The Kabuki bar is rated for 1,500 pounds. It uses a square tube design, so it's not going to be something you're going to use for squats probably with that square tube, but I mean, it's possible. So it's a little bit different design there. And the Kabuki also has variable spacing from 23, 25, 27 inches, so you can adjust that. And again, the handle diameters are not endless, but there's I think 4 or 5 different diameter options that you can go with. And they also have a handle that spins. That's a really cool feature. I haven't seen that on any of the other bars, so that's a unique feature to the Kabuki. The Kabuki is also quite a bit narrower overall. Comes in at 77 inches versus 84 on the Rep and the Vulcan bars. So last but not least, and probably the original design to these kind of modern trap bars, is the Eleiko. And it comes in about $800 plus shipping taxes. To me, it's at the very pinnacle of price. And it might not be something that you might be interested in. For me, that's too much money for a trap bar that I use for accessory work. I mean, again, I've spent more on other things that maybe I didn't need as much, but if you're looking for the absolute pinnacle, you could look at the Eleiko. I'm not going to get into the specs on it because frankly, I think it's out of the price range for most people. They would probably go with the Kabuki. And I have used the Kabuki, and it is a very nice solid bar. So that being said, $399 gets you into this Rep bar. It has similar features to the Eleiko, the Kabuki, and the Vulcan bar that are all more expensive. So what's my thoughts? Okay, well, first of all, I'm not touching this bar right now. It is on my roller J-cups, and what can you see on this? It's balanced absolutely perfectly. This is probably the best balanced trap bar I've ever used in terms of static balance. You can see just by touching it, it just stays exactly where it is. So front to back, this bar is 100% balanced. So much so that when you bring it up vertically this way, because the added weight of the handles here that are sticking off, it will naturally fall down to where those handles are. But when you are using it like this, whether you're using it front or back, it's balanced perfectly. That's pretty awesome. All right, so the bar's perfectly balanced, and what's my thoughts from using it? I'm really impressed with this bar after using it for 2 or 3 weeks now. I'll admit, I do not use it for doing squats or presses and stuff like that. To me, I like using this for what it's intended to be used for, as a trap bar. And I'm not the best at using a trap bar. I just haven't had one in the gym over the last couple of years. I've used them in commercial gyms and that type of thing, but it's just not a movement I'm used to doing. However, I really like doing it. This is going to be incorporated into my workouts at least once or twice a week, and I really like having this bar. Am I happy with the purchase? Absolutely, I'm happy with it. At $399, again, Rep did a great job, so I can't complain. Now, I've been trying to look at things that could be better on this bar. You know, all my reviews, I try to critique, and maybe I'm overcritical sometimes, but I found a couple little things that I'd like to see better on the Rep bar. All right, my battery just died on my camera. You think you could find a camera battery that would last longer than like 10 minutes. I mean, I can't believe it. They show full and they literally are drain dead in like 10 minutes. I don't know what the deal is. I've got all this equipment, but I can't keep my camera running for longer than 10 minutes. But here we are. So I got like 3 extra batteries. So I just changed it out. So what could Rep have done better, or what could be improved on this bar? Again, they did a great job incorporating the rackable features, chrome sleeves. I really like the handles, and I really like the balance of this bar. For $399, they knocked it out of the park. Couple little improvements I think they could look at is, one of them is in the deadlift jacks themselves. The UMHW isn't cut in a circle like I think it should be. It's actually cut at 2 angles, and you'll see it gets really, really close to the actual metal in a couple spots there. Not a big deal, but as you're jacking the bar up, a circle, corner round cut would be a lot easier on leveraging it up. Very small, minute engineering thing, but like I said, just little things that could be improved. The handles. This one Rep's already working on, and I'd love to see some more handle options, both in the width of the handle placement and the diameter of the handles. Rep has told me they are working on that, and they should be available later this fall, November, December timeline. So I'm really looking forward to some handle options. I'm definitely going to buy them for this bar, and that will really improve it and put it on par with the Vulcan, and also very comparable to the Kabuki bar in terms of handle option and placement. In terms of overall construction, I really like the round tube. Round tubing that they've used has a really nice feel to it. The powder coating is really nice on this bar. Again, we talked about the center knurl. It's not very aggressive, but again, for what its purpose is used for, that's probably sufficient. The overall welds on this bar they're not bad. It's to what you would expect from some overseas manufacturing. They are very strong welds. I have no doubt that they're strong enough to handle whatever weight I'm putting on this bar. Overall, I'm really happy with this bar. For $3.99 shipped, you can't go wrong. What most impressed me about it is the balance of the bar in itself and the feel. It feels great. So again, if you have any questions or concerns or anything, post them in the comments below. I do have one question for my viewers. Do you guys deadlift with this bar in front of you, or do you have it behind you? I've seen people do it both ways. What's the proper way? Let me know. Tell me, because I'm not sure. But until the next review, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. We'll have a good one. See ya.